Sacred Heart. Quantum Conversations is brought to you by AcousticHealth.com, home of music from the universe, online healing retreats, and this program. Claim your free registration to daily shows at AcousticHealth.com. AcousticHealth.com, your portal to the inner realms. Our program starts shortly. Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Hello and welcome, everyone. We take a big, deep breath with you as we enter into this sacred space and this beautiful conversation. Today, my guest is a spiritual and intuitive teacher here to talk about past lives. And when we're talking about mastery and knowing that what we know is inside of us, it does deal with past lives. And this is a very interesting conversation. We're going to talk about why past lives are a big deal and how to discover yours. Let's welcome back Matthew John to Quantum Conversations. Matthew, hello.
Nice to be back. I really appreciate you having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. You will be doing a little reading at the end. Maybe we'll do one or two of those so we can see how it works with you. But this is a fascinating topic. You know, it's like these. Talk to us a little bit about why past lives are a big deal. It's like if we do not have an awareness, it's just going to become even a bigger deal, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Just as the title of the show implies, past lives are a big deal because this for likely for everyone on the call here, and there are a few exceptions out there which I'll talk about. Likely, this is not your first rodeo, so to speak. This is not your first time around being on the Earth plane. For most of us, we've had hundreds, if not over 1,000, or sometimes even more, past lives on Earth. In addition to, last show you and I did together, we talked all about starseeds, right? And that's in addition to whatever lives you may have lived in other realms and other planets, even in a different galaxy. So we're going to really dig into past lives today, why it's important, how you can really get a much better grasp on your own life by knowing about your past lives, by understanding your past lives, by understanding your karma. And we're going to talk about ways that someone, if they really want to experience their past lives in the most visceral possible way, how they can do that. So I'm going to talk about things like how the soul designs lifetimes, what is planned in a lifetime, what isn't, the whole matter of fate versus free will. I'm going to talk about why souls plan out certain difficulties for you in your life. I'm going to talk about things like how to know where you were in a past life, how fears that you have in this life can relate to things that happened in your past life, how illnesses in this life can relate to things that happened to you in your past life as well. So we're going to dig into this completely today, and we're going to have some fun. So I want to start off talking about how the soul designs lifetimes and why. So as everyone probably knows, you have a soul. You have a soul. You are a personality. You are a human being. You are Loren Gailey. You are Loren Gailey, yet you have a soul that created Loren Gailey, and that soul created all sorts of other different characters throughout time and space in this earth plane that you lived. And this is just one iteration of an experience of your soul. And for those of you who don't know, your name is very significant, and your date and time of birth is very significant as well. And this is how the sciences, I don't call them anything but sciences because they really are sciences. The sciences of numerology and astrology, the reason why they're so effective in helping you understand your personality, helping you understand your mission and your life and what's in front of you, what's behind you, is because the soul very carefully crafts your name. The soul very carefully crafts the exact date, time, and location that you will be born. And in fact, when you are born, there is something called a vivaxis that is formed. Now, what a vivaxis is, it's an energetic connector line that connects between you wherever you go on this planet, whether you're in France or you're in Australia or you're here in the U.S., wherever you go, there's always a vivaxis line from your root chakra. Actually, it's more below your feet than the root chakra, but it connects all the way to your place of birth. And so in these hospitals where souls, come into the world, there is an energy bubble that is created here that ties the person, no matter where you go in your life, to that place of birth. And the exact moment that you were born, if you take a snapshot of where the planets are in the sky, where the planets are, where the significant comets and asteroids and fixed stars are in the sky, then you can get a good sense of what your personality is going to be like in this lifetime. For example, I am a Leo ascendant, and as a Leo ascendant, I like to be outgoing, I like to be extrovert, I like to talk to people, I just like to talk in general. So your astrology plays a big part, and I'm a Scorpio sun. I'm a Scorpio sun, and my birthday's coming up. So
when's your birthday? Just want to say, when's your birthday?
The 30th.
Oh, you're a Halloweeny baby. Yes.
The night before, yeah.
The night before. Mine is the 5th.
I know some people. I have a client who is on a Halloween baby, actually.
Well, you know what it is. I know my birthday's the 5th, and so, I know other people like
October,
November, yeah.
Oh,
November.
I didn't know you're a Scorpio, too. No wonder we get along so well.
No wonder we get along so well. And the funny thing is, there's a lot of people who, like Raquel Spencer, hers is November 3rd. I have another family member.
Okay.
And so these are all the Valentine's Day babies.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah, the whole like memes that come out around Valentine's Day, like, be careful or you're going to birth another Scorpio into the world.
Ah,
right?
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, sorry to interject there, but fascinating.
Honestly, we're Scorpios. I think Scorpio is the best sign because it's so deep and it's so transformational and mystical, and it's all about the occult and life and death and the journey of it's the shamanic sign. It's all about the ups and downs. So yeah, Scorpios, we tend to go through a lot. I know you and I have talked. Both of us have been through a lot in our lives, right? So the birth, that's how the birth chart is created. The birth chart is created, the snapshot of where the planets are. And the point being, your soul plans this all out to a T. None of it is by mistake. And not only that, the manner in which you were born. The manner in which you were born. So, for example, I was a C-section baby. And as a C-section baby, it is an intense trauma. And, my mom, I don't know, I wasn't a doctor. I don't know why she had a C-section, but she did. And someone who's a C-section baby is likely to encounter more physical health issues in their life, which I certainly have. Someone who's a C-section baby is likely to encounter and have to deal with a lot of fear, a lot of trauma that's related to fear, and it's very different than being born vaginally, more naturally. Same thing, the difference between being born in a hospital, with the doctor, the first person that touches you is the doctor with his or her cold hands, versus, someone who's having a water birth or having an at-home birth in the bathtub, with a chiropractor right there to adjust the baby right as he or she is born. So that's all planned out too. And however you're born, it puts an imprint for the rest of your life until you start working through it on your spiritual journey in therapy and in energy healing and all that. Then you start to heal some of the stuff that is caused by whatever traumatic or not traumatic birth that you had. Your parents, your soul picks out your parents. Your soul picks out your exact parents. There's no mistake. And as I said, the name was channeled through your parents. Your parents thought that they had the free will, and they did in a sense, because it's the whole paradox of the fate versus free will argument, which I'll talk more about. But you could not have been named differently than you were. And we know that because we can break down your name into numerology, and we can see something about your personality and about your mission here on Earth. So it's all by design. And your parents are souls that you know well. They're souls that are very likely, in most circumstances, the souls that birth you are in your soul group of 12. So there's something called the oversoul or the soul group. And this is that there are 12 souls that know each other very well up in, I like to call it heaven. Some people call it the afterlife or the space between lives, or even just calling it the astral plane. And these 12 souls know each other very, very well, and they interact with each other in different ways, in different capacities, and with different relationships to one another throughout lifetime. So it's like this. Imagine you're going to a theater, and I love to bring in the metaphors of theater and film because I love theater myself, even more than film. I love musicals and plays, and I just love the idea of acting. I wanted to be an actor at some point in my life. And thinking of it like a stage where 12 actors are doing a new play each time, and each time they change roles. It's like maybe they do every Shakespeare play, and they play different roles each time. And this is how life is. It's the souls in your oversoul or your soul group. One lifetime, it's your father. Let's say, your soul A, soul B is your father, and you're their son. In another lifetime, you're their father, they're your son. In another lifetime, you're brothers. In another lifetime, you're twin sisters. In another lifetime, you're lovers. In another lifetime, maybe you're even enemies, right? And that can happen too. There's also something called the monad. Now, the monad is a collection of 12 oversouls. Oversoul is also known as soul group. So the 143 other souls in your monad, in your monadic group, it's a bigger extension of the same metaphor that I just put out there, being the metaphor of theater, where now you can picture 144 different actors that are all changing roles in a play. So if you think of the 143 closest people in your life by the end of your life, and hopefully for everyone on the call, we've got at least 5, 6, 700 years left, let's stick around for a while. So by the end of your life, when you're on your deathbed, if you were to think back at who are the closest people, the people that changed my life the most, these are going to be parents, these are going to be siblings, these are going to be ex-lovers, these are going to be people that really, like a mentor, that really came in and just like you knew them for years and years, or a close friend that you knew for years and years, and they really shifted you in some way. These can also be guides, because the thing is that out of those 144 souls, not every one of them is going to be incarnated at the same time. It's like, the metaphor of the play. Maybe out of 144, 20 of those are just sitting in the audience and just watching for a bit and just taking notes and putting up placards, which are your angels and guides trying to give you messages once in a while to the actors, telling them to do something or encouraging them on. And that's a real thing, because there are, for example, when someone passes over, let's say you knew your grandfather really well. And for a lot of people, their grandparents, once they pass over, they do become spirit guides for them. So let's say your grandfather's one of those souls in your monadic group of 144. Over. That connection doesn't end. That connection doesn't end. Now that grandfather is serving as a guide for you, and you might see the grandfather in your dreams. You might just get feathers from your grandfather. You might receive information in all sorts of ways, you know. And spirit guides are there for us to watch and to guide when necessary. They very, very rarely do they directly intervene unless it's a life or death situation, but they're there to just guide along. And so there's different levels of who you are, and this is something to try to understand. Think of it like an elevator. Think of a building with an elevator, and there's different levels. So the ground floor is, so the first floor if you're in America, floor 0 if you're in Europe, right? I think it's Europe that is floor 0. The first floor is going to be your personality. That's who you are. I am blank. Fill in your name. This is me. I look in the mirror and this is who I see. I see myself here. I see myself. Okay. Now floor 2 is going to be your soul. Okay. That's a little bit higher up in the hierarchy of who you are. A little bit higher up in the hierarchy of who you are. And from the second floor, you can think of like you have all this information. You have the Akashic records, really. You have the Akashic records of your soul. All these books and on shelves on the second floor that are showing you all the different lifetimes you lived here on Earth. And this is why, you know, when people go to good Akashic records readers, they can get great information about their past lives. Because the soul is seeing that, and the soul is crafting. Think of the soul on the second floor sitting at a desk and crafting the next lifetime that is going to be lived. Or just watching how the personality is going about their lifetime, and the soul giving subtle cues to the person as they try to get them to follow on their path. That's what intuition is. Intuition really is, when you're actually accessing it, is your soul giving you subtle nudges like, I designed this lifetime for you. There's lots of challenges. There's traps. There's places where you're meant to be really successful in things. So be careful here. Your soul says, go this way, don't do this, do this, right? And more often than not, we miss those cues. I've certainly missed them a million times over in my life. I think most people have. But there are times when we do pick up on an intuitive cue, and we can just step into that flow of like, I think my soul is pushing me to go here or to not go here. My soul is saying this door is closed. Or my soul is saying this door needs to be closed. Or my soul is saying this door here is wide open. This is a place where you need to put your energy, right? And so that's the soul from the second floor. The third floor is the oversoul. The third floor is the oversoul, and that's the group of 12 souls. But in another sense, you are the oversoul. So if you think of those other souls in your soul group, and just checking in with your intuition, you might get a little sense of like, I think my mom, I think my dad, I think my brother, I think my wife or my husband, I think this person, I think these are probably in my soul group, right? My grandfather. And if you think about those souls, well, the truth is that in another sense, you are them. You are them on another level. You are the same oversoul, which is another level of consciousness. And then it goes one step higher. One step higher being the fourth floor would be the monad. And that's the group of 144. The monad is otherwise known, people refer to it as the I am presence. The I am presence. The monad is very close to just being basically at the level of God, at the level. So just like on the third floor with the oversoul, on the fourth floor, you are the 143 other souls and yourself. And then we could say even there's a fifth floor, and the fifth floor is God. The fifth floor is Source, and that's the I am everything. I am Source. I am one with God. I am one with Creator. I'm one with with everything that exists. And that's that unity consciousness that we're getting glimpses of in the collective, and then in our own personal lives, hopefully on our own ascension paths, we're having moments of feeling that direct sense of unity consciousness, whether it's through meditation or whether it's snuggling with your dog or whether it's walking in the woods or doing something in nature. And we all have those moments. Sometimes they seem fleeting, right? Sometimes we just get that fleeting taste of like, I feel that connection. I feel like I get it now. I get what the Buddha and the masters say. I get what Sadhguru says. I get what they say about being one. I feel it. I feel it viscerally. And then you come back down into your life and you become the personality. But so that's a kind of a model that I just downloaded just right now of the levels of consciousness as it relates to the soul. And how this is really relevant when we talk about past lives is from that second level, the soul is planning out past lives. So, and your lives in general. So how does the soul plan out lives? Well, this is a vision that I've seen that many of my clients that have taken on these past life regression journeys have seen, that many books that have been written have described and speakers that have spoken about this have described a very similar model of how this actually works. In the afterlife, in the between spaces life, I do like to call it heaven, and I don't do that with any Christian connotation at all. I just do call it heaven personally, but you can call it whatever you want. Whatever that space is where your spirit guides would be, there's a long conference room table. It's like a conference room up in this astral plane. Everything looks very angelic. And you're sitting there as the self that is about to come in. Usually you'll probably be, this is just what I've seen, is you'll kind of look like in your adultish form, when you will be an adult in the lifetime you're planning out, because you're kind of getting used to who you're going to be before you go in. It's like trying on a costume. It's like trying on a Halloween costume at Party City before you actually buy it, right? So you're trying on the suit of who you're going to be. And around you on this conference room table are going to be the other souls in your soul group and some other significant souls in the monad and whoever else. Sometimes there's even souls that are from outside the monad that are meant to have a huge impact on you. And you're sitting around at this long, big table here with all of these souls somewhat in their adult form, or maybe changing forms, showing first as the child and the teenager, then the adult and the old person, just so they get a sense of each other. And they're planning out these contracts with each other, signing these soul contracts. And these soul contracts are based off of karma. They're based off of what happened between souls in a past lifetime. And the contract will go something like this. Here's an example. I'm soul A and soul B. Last time, let's say, I was soul A's father and soul B was my son. And, the contract in that lifetime, which was based off of other lifetimes of karma, was that I am going to be really strict to you, soul B, as the boy that you're going to be. You're going to feel restricted. You're going to feel like you don't have the freedom you want. And when you disrespect me, I'm going to be very stern, and I'm not going to be very kind. I'm going to have a drinking problem, and I'm going to be kind of miserable, and I'm going to die of a heart attack, and you'll kind of be happy and sad at the same time because you felt so restricted by your father. You never felt like you could do what you wanted to do. And we'll say, okay, we did that lifetime. Now, what sort of karma did we accumulate? Well, me, if I was soul A, I would say, okay, I accumulated the karma of having a closed heart, and that's why I died of in that lifetime. Let's say I died of a heart attack in that example. So I had that restriction for my own heart, and I just dumped it onto you. I unjustly dumped it onto you. I was trying to control too much because my heart was closed, because I was hurt. I was hurt, by my father when I was young, right? As in this example. And so I would say, okay, let's do something different in this lifetime to balance out the karma. This time, I want you to be my father, and I'm going to be your son. And it's going to be kind of the same deal. I'm going to now experience what it's like for my father to have a really closed heart and to restrict me and not allow me to do what I want to do. And that's a situation where souls are kind of trading off karma to balance it out. Another thing that will commonly happen is souls will basically replay karma. So, let's say, let me just come up with an example off the top of my head. In one lifetime, let's say, two sisters, right? And they, let's say that they were always kind of rivals. There's all sorts of stories out there, Shakespearean stories, right, about siblings being rivals. So let's say they were really rivals. Maybe their parents, treated them differently. Maybe, maybe one got the toys when they were a kid and the other didn't. And so they kind of became rivals. And they never really solved that karma in that lifetime. And then they want to say, okay, you know what? We didn't really work through this. So instead of trading off here, there's really nothing to trade off. Let's just do it again, but in a different form, different body. So let's say we want to work on bridging rivalry. The lesson here is our souls want us to work on bridging rivalry and coming to forgiveness. So let's be friends that are also working together in a business. Let's say we're going to be two businessmen who were best friends, right? But then something happens. One stabs the other in the back. One just completely screws over the other. And then we're going to see if our souls can come to a place of acceptance and forgiveness and reconciliation after that. So that's another example. And these soul contracts are very intricately planned. And when we talk about soul contracts, most commonly we talk about it in the context of romantic relationships. What is my soul contract with this person? Is this soul contract over? What was supposed to happen here? But it's also just as relevant for close friendships. It's also just as relevant for familial relationships. The truth is, you have a soul contract with every person you've ever encountered in your life, which is crazy to think about. Every person you've ever talked to, in person, online, over the phone, even the, whatever pollster that might have called your house and said, oh, who are you voting for, right? You have a soul contract with every one of these persons, but they're minor. They're not planned. They don't need to be planned. They don't need to be planned out. It's more of a thing of like, okay, this connection was meant to happen. Because everything that happens was meant to happen, it's just a rule of life. And that's the whole idea of faith versus free will. But you have these intricate soul contracts with the closest people in your life, with your familial relationships, with your romantic relationships, and even with those familial relationships that have already crossed over. When one party has already crossed over to the other side, there is that soul contract there as well. And these soul contracts are basically, the intention is either to create more karma that can then be balanced in a future lifetime, or the intention is basically to heal the karma, to unravel the karma. So souls are going through this constant, it's like, think of like children. And I love, it's actually a great metaphor to think of souls as children because, the soul is our true self. And our true self is playful. Our true self only knows love, only knows forgiveness, only knows acceptance, surrender, all of the higher fifth dimensional energetic attributes. So let's say that you picture children playing, right? And let's say they're playing in a sandbox and they keep building sandcastles and then destroying them. Building sandcastles, destroying them. Well, they build the sandcastle, right, which is creating the karma, and then they destroy the karma and they smooth out the sand, everything goes back to neutral. And this is the game of life. This is the game of the cycle of reincarnation. The cycle of reincarnation as it plays out on Earth is very unique. It's very unique. It's not found in many places in creation. It is an experiment. Earth itself is basically a laboratory experiment. It's the whole adage of what happens if we take people from all over the universe of different colors and races and different creeds and different ideas and put them on this crazy planet with billions of different types of predatory animals, well, not billions, but predatory animals and droughts and hurricanes. I mean, this planet is nuts. This planet is insane. I mean, compared to when, like, for example, when I take people on the starseed journeys, like we talked about last show, like, you go to Sirius, you go to the Pleiades, you go to the Arcturian planets, there's nothing but peace. It's just peace. And there's no crazy weather. It's just peace. This planet is nuts. But this is the idea, and this is how the whole reincarnation process plays into this being kind of particular to Earth, is that it is a cycle of involuntary reincarnation, which is what the Hinduists talk about. The Hindus talk about, to break out of this involuntary cycle of reincarnation, we must balance our karmas and find our dharma. Our karmas, our actions, and our karma are the things that we did in past lives that were not good, or in this life that were not good, that went against God, essentially, when we hurt other people, when we hurt ourselves in past lives or in this life. And we heal those karmas, and we do good karmas, and then we find our dharma. And our dharma is our soul mission. And this is where the ascension lifetime comes in, because so many of us are in our ascension lifetime right now. And probably everyone on this call, if you're listening to this, you are in your ascension lifetime right now. You are in the process of finding your dharma if you haven't already found your dharma. There's levels of finding dharma as well. You know, you may feel like you're kind of on your soul's mission, but there might be so much more to come. You might have such a bigger mission. You might have new missions that come in, all different aspects of your dharma, right? But the whole idea from the Hindu perspective is that as you balance your karmas and you do your dharma, you break out of the cycle of reincarnation, and you no longer need to reincarnate. Then you can reincarnate out of free will. You can reincarnate out of desire. For souls, the soul is stuck in this artificial process of reincarnation where it's creating karma and healing it, creating more karma, healing it, creating karma, healing it, until there comes the point of the lifetime where it's meant to. Now, I'm hearing the question from the audience, or even in my own head. I'm questioning my own material here. It's like, well, who is saying that it's time to break out of that cycle of reincarnation? Is it the soul? Is it the person? Is it another aspect? And I have different theories on that. I'm not entirely sure. I think it may have to do with whether you're a starseed or whether you're not. Because if you're a starseed, I do believe that starseed aspect of you, which is a whole nother aspect, it's like I gave you that metaphor of a building. It's like a building across the street that's even taller, that's actually watching everything that's going on in the 4th-floor building I just told you about. The whole other aspect is your starseed self, your star self. To me, I do believe the star self kind of sends the signal to the earth soul. It's like, okay, this is the lifetime. This is when we're going to try to wake up completely, balance all our karma, right? And I think it may be different if you're a new soul. If you're a new soul that it doesn't come from the stars, which is a thing. There are, and I do believe, I have no proof of this, I believe it's about 55% of souls on this planet are actually newer souls. I think it's about half, but I've heard 55% too, that are newer souls that have not experienced being anywhere else in the galaxy yet, or anywhere else in the stars. They were born out of Alcyone from the Pleiades, which is where souls are created in our galaxy, coming directly into this earth plane as plants and animals, ascending as plants and animals before becoming human beings. And it's my understanding, also general consensus out there, that the first beings that are waking up on this planet are the starseeds. You know, in the age of Pisces, the age of Pisces was the last planetary age before this, 2,200 years. The age of Pisces, you know, those who were really awake were the gurus, right? Especially in the Hindu tradition. And these were, you know, most certainly starseeds, in my belief. Moda Vistas even, incarnated angels even, right? And now that we're in the age of Aquarius, which is the age of Christ consciousness, which is the age of everyone waking up, right? I do believe that it's the star seeds, the souls that come from somewhere else in the stars, somewhere else in the galaxy, Pleiades, Arcturus, and, there's all the Lyran system, Orion's Belt. There's all sorts of places where you can come from, and these are the beings that are waking up first. These are, especially since 1986, since the harmonic convergence of '86. These are the beings that are waking up first, and they keep coming in waves. You talk about the waves of light workers. People talk about the 144,000, and then it's the 144 million, which is where we're at now. We've crossed that threshold, which is my understanding, into the 144 million that have been activated on this planet. Next, it'll be 1.44 billion starseeds activated on this planet. And we're getting very close to that threshold as well. I think within the next couple of years, we'll hit that threshold. So that's how fast the waves of awakening are coming. And that's how we know that despite all of the craziness on this planet, despite COVID, despite everything that's going on, the economic difficulties, this whole process of ascension, this whole process of transformation will happen successfully. All is well, and we are gonna beat this. We are gonna beat all the forces that are against us. I'm gonna take a sip of tea, Loren, if you want to comment on anything. I know I gave the audience a lot there to start out.
Yes, and so I know people are saying they're done with this reincarnation cycle. How can you... This is where we're talking about higher self-embodiment,
right.
This awareness, and I love how you said that, this, you mentioned 500, 600, 700, 800 years of age is also possible. So I think we're ready for it. I think, we're here right now. It's just very interesting to see these past lives that can keep coming up to, I don't want to say haunt us, but affect us and influence us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point. I hear that a lot from people like, okay, I'm done with this planet. I'm done reincarnating. And the question is, who makes that choice? Is that a choice you get to make? No. Is it a choice your soul makes? Yes.
It's a soul choice, yes.
Right. So
and so, I mean, isn't it comforting to know that each of us chose to be here? I know we've had some deep conversations, and sometimes that's hard for people to truly understand and say, why in the world would I create this? Why?
Yeah, exactly.
But when we realize, oh my gosh, when we realize that the higher self in the soul is orchestrating the whole thing, there is some comfort there if we can get there, right, to that awareness.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's all, and when do we think about at what points in your life might you have that sudden just visceral feeling like all is well and there's a higher purpose to all of this? For me, it's been one of three times. It's been in times of just great success, oh my God, I can't believe I actually did this. I can't believe this is real. This is amazing, Can't believe I'm doing this, right? The other is times of just great difficulty of what the heck is going on? This is crazy. Am I okay? An accident, a major illness, a loss, the end of a relationship, someone passing away. Right? And in those moments, a lot of times we'll be like, I really get the feeling that as horrible as this feels right now, there's absolutely a higher purpose to this. This is leading somewhere, and there's some big wisdom that I'm supposed to take out of this. And the other is with the use of plant medicine. For anyone who's ever done any sort of plant medicine ceremony, you may have experienced that just connection, that knowing, that real experience of everything is connected and everything is planned. I'm just I'm just, and it's humbling. It's humbling. It's humbling to see that in those moments of either great success or destitution or in a ceremony. Like, I'm just a silly ego here. I'm just a silly personality. I think I know everything. I think that I know what's going to happen in my life. I think I know the meaning for everything. And I think I can control everything in my life. But I can't. I can't, because I'm not the one planning it out. I think I'm planning it out. I think I'm taking the exact steps I need to take to create the life that I want to live. But there's a much higher power here that's controlling all this.
Yeah.
And it's true. And there are those times when you just, especially in struggle, when you just throw your hands up in the air and, like, I don't know. There's something here that's taking me somewhere. I don't know where it's going, but I'm trusting. Trusting, When we have big life transitions, when something ends, especially, then that's the time when we most need that. We most need that faith that this is going somewhere. There's somewhere this is leading me. And I just feel like it's a good place. I feel like it's a place that I need to be, Yeah.
And for the collective, we are absolutely, and keeping that faith now. Yeah, trusting the universe.
Exactly, yeah. The relevancy. Oh God, I mean, we've got an election coming up, right? And
it's exhausting. Yes.
This is a big one. This is a big election, and whatever happens will be what was meant to happen. Whoever wins, however it plays out,
still go vote.
Of course, yes, of course. That's the whole idea of fate versus free will again. We do have a certain amount of control over the future. That is a universal law. Is that beings that are incarnated do have an effect on the future. They affect, in the present moment, you affect the future timelines. However, from the point of view of the future, the past is actually set in stone. That's the weird thing about it. So you look back from right now, you say, everything in my past, I'm looking to my left. Everything that's behind me there, everything in my past was meant to be. And that is true. Once it happens, it happened. It's there. It's in the Akashic Records. The future is actually uncertain. You can imagine all sorts of different roads when you look to your right, all sorts of different roads in all directions, right? And based on your choices, you will make those decisions. And yet, when you get to the next future point, you'll look back and say, I couldn't have made any other decision. That was what was meant to be. That's the paradox. Everything in life is a paradox. It's this and that, because it's ultimately a mystery. This is the whole idea of humility, right? But so whatever ends up happening, whoever stays in the White House or whoever comes into the White House is going to be who's meant to be there, and then we'll go on from there with the collective timeline. And great point with that, Loren. And I want to talk about virtues. I want to talk about virtues for a moment. So I love that word, virtues. Virtues are pieces of wisdom that we integrate. I like to define it as that. It's a piece of wisdom that we integrate. And we integrate it through life experience. There's no other way. One can read a book about forgiveness. One can listen to YouTube talks about forgiveness. Yet until they actually practice forgiveness in their life, with maybe someone in their family really hurt them, and they've never been able to fully forgive them. Maybe they've never been able to fully forgive themselves for something that happened in the past. Until that's really practiced and integrated as experience in your Akashic Records, then it's just conjecture, right? But here's a list of some virtues to think about. And the whole point of the soul's creating karma, healing the karma, creating circumstances, healing from the circumstances from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, is virtues. Yes, the ultimate goal is to escape the process of artificial reincarnation and to become a fifth dimensional being, which means you're embodying the soul to a much more real extent than as a third dimensional being. Yes, ultimately that is the goal. However, along the way to get there, think of it as being like checkpoints that are showing how much you've gained. When you gain these virtues, you are doing exactly what your soul has designed for you to do. Acceptance, assertiveness, authenticity, beauty, and this isn't necessarily outer beauty, this is the recognition of beauty, caring, cleanliness, commitment, compassion, confidence, consideration, contentment, cooperation, courage, creativity, detachment, determination, dignity, encouragement, enthusiasm, ethical, excellence, fairness, faith, flexibility, forgiveness, friendliness, generosity, gentleness, graciousness, gratitude, harmonious, helpfulness, honesty, honor, hope, humility, idealism, integrity, imaginative or imagination, joyfulness, justice, kindness, love, loyalty, moderation, modesty, optimism, orderliness, passion, patience, peace, perseverance, preparedness, purposefulness, reliability, respect, responsibility, reverence, self-discipline, service, sincerity, tact, temperance, tenaciousness, thankfulness, tolerance, trust, truthfulness, understanding, unity, vision, wisdom, and wonder. And these are just a list that I found of virtues. And so if we really want to understand, like, what is the purpose for something that happened in our past, in our lives, and think about something from the past that you feel like you've integrated. So think about an event that happened that really was probably something you didn't ask for, something that really threw you for a loop. Maybe it was an accident, maybe it was an illness, maybe it was someone passing away, maybe it was the ending of a romantic relationship. And think about, what wisdom did I accumulate? What wisdom did I garner from that experience? A great thing to journal on, it's something I'll give clients once in a while to journal on, is making a list of all the things in your past that, quote unquote, should not have happened. All the things that you wish would have worked out differently, all the things that felt unfair, unjust. And you make a list of those things. And underneath those things, you list as many things as possible that you learned. As many things as possible as you learned. And when you do that, you're really helping to integrate the virtue into your consciousness, which is exactly what the purpose of the whole thing that happened was. The whole purpose was to help you to garner this wisdom and to learn this virtue, to learn, or several virtues. And with any events or any relationship or any illness or anything that we go through or are currently going through, there's always multiple virtues that we're going to be working on. Okay? So that's why the soul creates that. The soul creates things that's called learning through opposites. Learning through opposites. The soul will create the opposite circumstance to create the playing field for hopefully the personality to go in the opposite direction and learn certain virtues. Here's a very common one that I've seen with many, many light workers. Many, many light workers went through some sort of addiction or are going through some sort of addiction. Usually it's alcohol or other substances. I've worked with many, and I've thankfully helped several just get out of horrible addiction. And I'm so happy that I was able to help. And people that go through addiction, that's always something that the soul is going to put into the life plan as something they're meant to encounter. And it will be something that is designed to force the personality to face this choice of either continuing to spiral down into destitution, into the low vibration of addiction and being tied, an energetic slave to a substance, or resurrection, resurrecting oneself, getting clean, getting off the substance, and then whatever wisdom, whatever virtues were learned from doing that is exactly the point. That's exactly why the soul put it there in the life plan. Likely also, there's always a deeper past life connection with that too. So, and I'll give you an example. So in the case of addiction, someone who experiences addiction at some point in their life is likely to have experienced addictions in other lifetimes as well. And in those other lifetimes, perhaps they didn't get out of the addiction. You know, people who were drinkers in this life, you know, maybe in past life, they were really bad drinkers, and in this lifetime, they got out of it. They got out of it, right? You know, when I was much younger, like most, you know, teenagers, young 20s, yeah, I used to drink and smoke marijuana way too much. And for me, it was the oncoming of this very strange neurological issue, which I still have not completely solved the riddle of, which it caused me to just quit, because I started feeling sick. I started feeling sick from the alcohol. I started feeling sick from smoking too much marijuana, and I had to quit completely. And that was something for me from a past life, where in other lifetimes, I probably drank myself to death in one lifetime, you know, but in this lifetime, it was like, okay, you're going to experience a little bit of going overboard with drinking too much. It's not good for you, smoking too much marijuana. And then it's just going to be taken away from you like that. And that's something that happened for me. Another thing that I can tell in my own life is recklessness, like driving. I mean, I was in several car accidents when I was younger that were not good. I mean, thankfully I was okay, but they were just, I wasn't driving very well. And in other lifetimes, I probably was way too reckless again. I probably was way too reckless in another lifetime. In this lifetime, my soul says, okay, are you going to learn to like be more careful here? Be more careful. Don't be so reckless with your driving, right? And these are the sorts of things. So sometimes we'll have the same sort of theme come up in our current lifetime as the same things we experience in other lifetimes, but just a little bit softer or presented in a little different way. You know, illness. Let's talk about illness a little bit. Well, if you've had major illnesses in your life, and so many light workers have, if you've had, I mean, God, I've worked with so many clients that have had near-death experiences from horrible illnesses. I've had so many clients that have healed from cancer completely, sometimes miraculously. Amazing stories I get to hear. I've had people that have had really strange illnesses that they haven't been able to figure out easily. You know, for me, as I said, neurological issues have been an issue for me. And in a past life, I was beheaded. I was in France, and I was a political dissident. And they took me away, and they chopped my head off. And that left, as you can imagine, a really horrible scar energetically. And wouldn't you know it, did I get hit in the head so many times growing up, playing hockey, getting in fights as a kid. I got hit in my head a lot. And I went through a stage where I'm not proud of this, but I'll share it, you know, where I was really very not good to myself, and I used to hit myself in the head. I used to actually punch myself in the head because I was just in such a place of self-hatred. And shortly after that, I developed a weird sense of vertigo and other migraine issues, essentially. And it's something I've had to deal with for years now. And it was something that was karmic for me. It was something that came from past lives, that in a past life, I was beheaded. And in this lifetime, my mission is to heal through the head. And the ironic thing for me is that I'm very intelligent. When I was in high school, I got 99s on everything. I had a really high score on the ACT. And for me, my soul wanted me to have a high level of intelligence, but have this weird thing of like disrespecting my own head. You know, getting hit in the head in hockey, punching myself in the face when I was really hating myself when I was younger, right? And that was part of my karma to heal. So then my life in the, over the past 10, 11 years on my healing journey has been all about healing through the head, using visualization, using meditation. The number one thing I do with clients is using visualization. And it's very interesting how that happens. So your alchemy will also come from your karma. And that's your dharma. So my dharma is to work with clients using a lot of visualization, using shifting how people think about things, okay? Using my words, my voice to shift how people feel about themselves, how people feel about life, how they go about life, right? So this is if you can kind of see the interconnection. Someone who, for example, gets stomach cancer. Let's say someone who gets stomach cancer. In a past life, they were likely stabbed in the stomach. They were likely stabbed in the stomach. Maybe they died. Maybe they didn't. And in this life, they're meant to heal that solar plexus wound by going through the experience of that cancer. And there may be two paths. There may be one path where that person just dies. And there may be another path where they heal completely and they garner all the virtues, all the wisdom of going through that experience of stomach cancer. And they heal. Women that have like, let's say uterine cancer, right, or uterine cysts. A lot of times, almost every time, these are women who wanted to have children in this lifetime and didn't, or they lost a child to miscarriage or something like that, and it creates an energetic wound in the womb, in the uterus, and it will also relate to a past life where perhaps they were a child and they were miscarried. Or it will relate to perhaps a lifetime of having, like, think of a woman who has like 11 children, in a Middle Eastern country. She has 11 children. She doesn't get to choose whether she wants to have kids or not, because basically she's owned by her husband, and her husband says, okay, time to have sex, and that's it. She can't say anything, right? And boom, another child. That might be a woman who then their soul decides, you know what, we need some contrast here. So in this lifetime, we're not going to have children. You're going to want to have children, but you're not going to be able to have children due to some biological thing. And then because of that guilt and shame, that whether it's conscious or below the surface of consciousness, it's there. And in order to heal that, you are going to need to then go through the experience of uterine cancer or uterine fibroids or something down there. And you will then, through that experience, you will then garner the self-forgiveness, letting go of all the guilt and shame, letting go of everything you're holding against yourself for not having children. And you'll come out on the other side feeling perfectly fine not having kids. Maybe you'll end up adopting. Children end up adopting because that's actually what's in their life plan. There's actually in their life plan to go through that process of healing the guilt and shame within about not being able to have children or not having children. And then they're adopted, and then they have a soul contract, this very special soul contract with that child that they end up adopting, and they share their lives with that person. It's incredible how intricately this is all planned out. I want to give some more examples for people. Some of these are taken from my just some hypothetical examples. Some of these are taken from actual client experiences. Okay, example one, soul one wants to experience abuse. Okay, abuse is a thing that unfortunately so many light workers went through. Either they went through an abusive relationship, they went through being abused as a child. There's just really far too many tales of light workers going through really horrific experiences. And that is something that is very common that souls design in this ascension lifetime, because it is so traumatic. It is so traumatic that it really allows for the person to to have the direct opportunity to overcome a lot of karma very quickly, because the trauma brings up all this energy, brings up all this stuff from past lives. And when you go through therapy, you go into therapy, or you work with a healer or a coach, or you just watch, listen to shows like this, or watch videos on YouTube, and you start to heal yourself, work with a shaman, whatever you do, you start to heal yourself. You start to actually integrate that karma, heal that karma, and you get, like I said, you get the wisdom. You get the wisdom that comes out of that. So, let's say someone that was abused by their father when they were young, and there's far too many stories of this, of someone being abused by their father. And let's say that they carry that with them for their whole life, and they attract all sorts of bad relationships, all sorts of men that want to take advantage of them, all sorts of men that don't respect them. This is so common. And they keep re-experiencing it over and over again. And there's this sense of guilt and shame that they don't know where it comes from. There's a sense of turning against the self, and these might be someone who ends up in alcohol addiction or a drug addiction even, until the awakening moment comes, until some character comes along, or they listen to some show and they realize now is the time to heal. Now is the time to heal. And they start getting on the healing process. There will be lifetimes of other stuff, that in this lifetime it was being abused by the father. In another lifetime it was other physical abuse from a husband. In another lifetime it was being in war. It was being on a battlefield and dying a horrific death. In another lifetime it was doing something to someone else. In another lifetime that soul played a character that did something to someone else. Because the truth is that even us light workers, which are, we're all very kind people. We're all very caring, loving people. And we don't want to hurt a soul as light workers. It feels awful, to cause any harm to any person or animal or anything. But in other lifetimes, we played characters that were nasty. All of us did. Because that's the whole idea of the souls creating karma and then healing from it. So when you look over the course of, if you were to look at your Akashic records, and let's say you have 734 lifetimes on Earth, and you look through all the Akashic records of all the themes, all the lessons, all the virtues that were worked on throughout these lifetimes, you would see what's the word? Almost like a song. It would almost be like a song. It would almost be like, I see, here's the common themes, and then it's resolved, and it would all work together very musically. I'm not explaining it well. It would all fit together as one whole unit of this makes sense. It's like if you took your Akashic records of 734 different books of your lifetimes, and you were able to see all the books at once, it would meld itself together into one ball of light that is just neutral. And that's the whole idea. The soul is it's building karma and then coming back to neutrality, but in the same process, it's building more light. It's building more light for itself. And as it builds more light, then the physical incarnation is able to be of more light. And so for those of us that are listening to this call, on this call, we've got healers, we've got, psychics, we've got all sorts of people that are making a huge difference in the world, in many different ways. We've got teachers, we've got all, healthcare workers on this call. And we have already worked through a lot of karma in other lifetimes. We've already healed and integrated a lot of that karma, and thus in this lifetime, in the ascension lifetime, we're actually able to hold much more light than we were able to do in other lifetimes. Now, here's the funny thing as well. In other lifetimes, and usually in 1, 2, or 3 other lifetimes I've found out of the hundreds, and that's, by the way, a question that people ask commonly is, well, how many lifetimes have I lived? And it's hundreds. It's usually hundreds, sometimes over 1,000. But there's usually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's a few where you embodied a lot of light. So many of us have had lifetimes as witches. Many of us have had lifetimes as monks or nuns, or Shaolin monks, or in some sort of spiritual lineage, especially during the age of Pisces. Especially during the age of Pisces, when again, it was the spirituality. You had to go to a guru, or you had to go to a temple, or you had to go into a certain lineage where you could join that lineage and rise, raise your vibration through a linear progression. And that's something that almost all of us have had at least one experience of. The other thing is, almost all of us have had at least 1 or 2 experiences of incarnating in Atlantis and Lemuria. And I know, Loren, you do the Lemurian Heart Temple, so you must be a Lemurian, yes?
Yes, I was both in Lemuria, and I was a Lemurian in Atlantis. I remember that as well.
Really? Ah, okay, interesting. I was a Lemurian, I know that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so for those who, we're going to do some mini readings here too, that's really exciting. But
we'll do 1 or 2.
How would people identify, how would people know where they had past lives?
Oh, yeah, let me get to that in a moment. Okay, if you don't mind, let me get to that in a moment. I'm leading there. I do want to mention about the Lemurian and Atlantean lives, that we do have other experiences before this, usually, where we tasted fifth dimensional consciousness, where we tasted enlightenment, or at least being an enlightened being. And we have that subtle memory in our Akashic records that we then are re-accessing here. And that's a whole nother aspect of past lives. And another thing, even some people were actually mermaids, mermen, fairies, or even, I had a client who was a Nephilim in Egypt. And we could actually have past lives as different types of beings, because there were ages on the earth where right now, let's be honest, the truth is, it's not just us on this planet. For those of you who don't know, there's the inner earth beings, okay? There's the Telosians, there's fairies, there's all sorts of trolls and all sorts of weird creatures that are not human. There's, the, whatever they call Bigfoot. Like, this stuff is all real. This is not just our planet. And there's all sorts of extraterrestrials walking around this planet as well. So people have also had other lifetimes where they briefly incarnated as even a non-human entity on this planet, which is pretty cool to think about as well. But yeah, how do we discover our past lives? Well, the best way to discover your past life is going to be through a past life regression. And there are ones that you can find on YouTube. People have had varying success with it, but the best way, if you really want to know what your past lives are about, you really want to see them, experience them, is to do a past life regression. And I'm offering those, and we have a special offer package that we are presenting only for you guys, for Acoustic Health Quantum Conversation listeners here. It's like 60-something% off my normal prices. And so we'll talk about that in a bit, right? But that's the best way. That's the absolute best way. What I do in these, they're 2-hour sessions, and we'll do a little brief talk beforehand. I'll lead you into a hypnotic induction, which it sounds kind of scary. It's not. It's just getting you very, very relaxed. You'll just feel super duper relaxed, like you're floating on a cloud in the sky. And then I lead you through a process to go into your consciousness, and you're going to go basically into your Akashic records, and you're going to go on a journey into different past lives. And you're going to some people actually become the being. So some people, if you were Mary Jane in a past life, you might actually become her for a brief time as you experience it. Some people see it from a third person perspective as well. And both are okay. You'll see how your lives ended. You'll see how the life that you're seeing ended. You'll see all sorts of significant events from that life. You'll get a lot of details about it, and you'll really see it. And then we'll go to the space between lives. And the space between lives is pretty cool to experience. It is, for most people, like a void. It's just kind of like you're floating. Some people do experience more of it being like a heaven realm. It's a little different for everyone, but we'll go to the space between lives, and from that space, we will ask for a guide to help interpret what the meaning of that past life was. And most people start channeling just because they're in a space of being very, very relaxed, very deep into their Akashic records. They'll just start channeling on their own the meaning of that past life. So here's an example. I have some notes from someone's past life regression here. This person experienced being like a servant in Japan, and they felt a camaraderie with the other sisters at the place they were working, but they never experienced like a true love with a man. And some of the virtues that they learned were patience, responsibility, acceptance. They created karma by resenting their parents in that lifetime, because their parents kind of just said, "Oh, you got to go make money. You got to leave home. You got to go make money somehow on your own. So here, go work for this rich person," right? And that created karma for a future life, right? Some of the people, the sisters at that place were people that they knew in this lifetime, right? Another lifetime that this person was being in ancient Greece, and they were in a position of power. They were in a position of political power, and they had to make some really difficult decisions, and they experienced being basically persecuted for political reasons, and it created a karma of lack of trust in certain people, lack of trust in men. And this person had experienced lack of trust in men in their current lifetime. And we could see that's where that came from. Another lifetime was wanting to help people. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the same lifetime. Oh, another lifetime was from this person was in Atlantis. That was actually that was their high dimensional lifetime. And and they actually experienced, this was wild. Through this person's experience, we experienced the end of Atlantis, Loren. And I don't know, you tell me if you've ever experienced it yourself. One time I was in meditation, and I don't know what happened, but I also saw the end of Lemuria, and I cried and I cried and I cried. And
Did you feel responsible for it? Was there guilt or shame or responsibility?
No. For me, it was just, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And I've had other clients that we've seen the same, some Lemuria, some Atlantis, of like, why is this happening? This is not right. Something's wrong here. Just horror,
Yeah.
And that was the nuclear war. For those people who don't know, that's how Lemuria and Atlantis ended, with the nuclear war. And that was the Great Flood. That was the biblical flood. But yeah, most of us have been there, and we can feel that. So sometimes people do, on these past life regressions, sometimes they do go through Atlantis or Lemuria. It's actually pretty common. Another thing that's pretty common is we go to like a witchy lifetime. Some were witches in Salem. Some were persecuted as witches, like in Ireland,
Yeah.
Some were persecuted in other places, because magic has been a part of our earthly civilization forever. And so many of us, that's why we're so attracted to crystals and tarot cards and psychics and all that, this life, because we've done it before. This stuff is not new. The tarot's very ancient. So yeah, it's fascinating. The past life regressions are, I do a lot of different things in my work. I'm some people call me an all-purpose healer or whatever, but the past life regressions are probably my favorite. The starseeds I love too, but this is one of my favorite things to do. It's so fascinating. It's so oh my God. I had a client that we actually found that he was a ghost. He was a ghost in another lifetime. he was like he was a mafia man in a lifetime, and he got taken out, and he was a ghost for a while, for like 22 Earth years or something. He was basically hanging out in his mafia office in New Jersey, and I believe it was in New Jersey, and just watching what was going on, until finally someone else passed away and was able to rescue him and take him to the light. That's how, I mean, experiencing like how you die in another lifetime, it sounds horrible. It is horrible, but it's really enlightening to see. And also it really kind of helps to truncate the fear of death, at least temporarily after you see that, because you're like, oh, you die and then you go back to heaven and everything's okay, which is the truth. And, there really is no end. Something I wanted to mention as well, as far as common karmas that people have from past lives, is suicide. And a lot of people, a lot of light workers have committed suicide in other lifetimes. Now, there's different theories on this. My understanding is that suicide is never, in no circumstance, is it something that a soul would intend. The soul will intend often for a life to be really difficult and for the person to be contemplating suicide, but never for them to actually take their own lives. Because the act of suicide it's one of the most detrimental and karma building acts that can happen, because it's literally attacking oneself, which is kind of like attacking God, because the self is the God self. It's trying to eliminate the self from existence, essentially, and there's nothing that could build more karma, in my opinion, than that. There are things like people like war crimes, for example, that builds a lot of freaking karma. But suicide also builds a lot of karma, and it's something that a soul that does have a suicide lifetime will spend a lot of lives having to heal from. And so a lot of light workers in this lifetime, I've been there. I think probably a lot of people on this call have been at a low point in your life at one time or another, where you're like, geez, is this the end? Am I just going to leave, right? Or you've known someone. I have my friend Brendan, he took his own life last year, and, I still think about him all the time. I still talk to him all the time, even though he's up in the astral plane. And a lot of us will know someone that took their own life in this lifetime, or a lot of us will have maybe talked to someone who were thinking about it. A lot of us knew someone that did it or almost did it, and it's a theme that, the whole idea of strength. It's like the strength card in the tarot, that accessing that inner strength, when things are bleak, or when someone is going through something and they seem like they're in a really bleak place. Like, we may be destined to be there to help them. We may be destined to, at some point in our life, to help someone to work through what they're going through. That's, so many like coaches and healers that I've worked with, they had someone in their life committed suicide, and it just led them to have this deep sense of wanting to help and save people. And that's something that is so necessary and needed, because as souls, whatever your soul designs for you, this is a rule, whatever your soul designs for you, you're meant to make it through. And if there's one person on this call that is going through a really horrible time right now, just know that things are going to get better. They will get better, because you're meant to make it through this. You're meant to learn certain pieces of wisdom and virtues from this. Maybe you're supposed to learn to forgive yourself. Maybe you're supposed to learn to be kinder to yourself. Maybe you're supposed to learn it's okay to seek help. It's okay to go to a therapist. It's okay to even go to a doctor. It's okay to seek help. There's all sorts of lessons that come from it. But if there's anyone listening, you are not meant to check out. You are not meant to leave the planet. Your soul would not design a circumstance that is meant for you to check out. The soul wants you to make it through every difficult, even the most horrific, difficult circumstance in your life. No matter what it is, your soul wants you to make it through. Your soul wants you to learn certain wisdom from it. And when you look back a year from now, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you will see that you learned what you're meant to learn, and you will be so grateful that you made it through and that there were people there to help you make it through. So I just wanted to mention that because there may be one or two people that need to really hear that right now.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your special offer and the sessions that you offer. We have time for a little bit of intuitive reading. We have time for one. So let me go to...
And then, can we go over the special offer after, or should we do it before? Or?
Yeah, because I know you've got a lot of teachings in there, and that's just a beautiful package.
I do, yeah. I'd love to tell people about it.
Well, let's see. We only have a few more minutes, so let's do an intuitive reading. And for those who are interested, check out Matthew's special offer and see what he has there. It's an instant download, and it's all there. In the kind while, we will, speaking of using our words, we will go to a caller. This one, we're going to Serafina in Lakewood. Hello, Serafina.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes,
so you have Matthew John here. So
Thank you.
Can he help you? Yes.
Do you want a question, or you just want to see what you...
Yeah, so a question. So what I would prefer is if you have a question about like either something that happened in your life or a relationship, and you'd like to know what is the karma here and what might have happened in a past life that relates to this. Yes.
I guess I would say just in terms of my life purpose at this point in my life, if it seems like I'm from Lemuria, if going to an area of water would help my soul feel at home, I guess.
Yeah, I'm getting an absolute yes for that. So I think you already know. I think you already know that it's a good time for a climate shift, climate change in your life, and to be around more water. And you will be able to definitely you'll be really integrating the codes of your Lemurian self, especially if it were to be, Hawaii or on the west coast of the U.S. or Canada. That would be probably the best geographic region for you. I pick up the sense of, I do believe you were a female in Lemuria. You might already know this, but I can see you playing with dolphins. See, the dolphins in Lemurian times were very chatty. They were very talkative, right? They related to us, very well. We could understand what they were saying, and they could understand us. And I see you spending a lot of time with the dolphins. That was your thing in Lemuria. So absolutely. And I can also see other lifetimes where water has been a big deal. I'm seeing a waterfall. And have you ever had a fear of heights?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I feel that actually in another lifetime, you may have jumped, whichever being you were playing, you may have jumped off of a waterfall. Yeah. And it may have been the end of a lifetime. It may have been a suicide situation in a different lifetime. So feel into that. I don't want to, tell you anything that doesn't feel right. But that may be something that is in your past, especially if you've had a fear of heights in this lifetime. That's something that we didn't really get to talk about much. I know we're out of time, but the fears, people have fears of heights, airplanes, people have fears of snakes, of knives, people have fears of fire. Like, I remember I was sitting on I was like 10 years old. I just got up for some reason at 3 a.m. and I was sitting on the stairs, and I was scared because I just thought that the house was going to be on fire, and I didn't understand why. And my mom came down, she's like, "Everything's fine. We'll go to sleep." And it was a past life thing I was re-experiencing of being in a house fire. So people who have fears, that especially when the fear seems unnecessary or unreasonable. Almost always, this is a past life thing that happens. So, but yeah, as far as your inquiry about water, absolutely, it feels like a unanimous yes for me from your spirit team. So I hope that helps.
Thank you. Thank you, Loren.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Serafina. All right. Wow. That's really cool. I want to do one more if you don't mind, because it's just so cool to see how you do that.
Yeah,
you use your intuition. Let's go to Destine in Michigan. Hi, Destine. You are unmuted.
Hello. Wow.
Hello.
Hey. Hey, Matthew.
Hi there.
Good. Matthew. Hey. I am going through some serious, I think I'm a genetic path cutter. And right now I'm going through my family lineage path.
Okay.
I'm carrying out the path.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that's been a major issue for you in your life recently?
Oh, black magic, witchcraft, sorcery.
Yeah, right. That's kind of the feeling that I was getting. So this is something karmic that in another lifetime you had played the role of the black magician, right? And you had, as that character, you had done wrong to other people. Then you had another lifetime as a witch. I can see where you were kind of you played with both the light and the dark magic in that lifetime as well, and you were persecuted in that lifetime. You were burned at the stake in that lifetime. You also had you had at least one lifetime in Africa where you were a victim of magic in that lifetime in Africa, and so you're very interesting that you've had, and there's even an Irish lifetime where actually in that lifetime nothing really bad happened, but you were a witch as well. So you've had 3 lifetimes of kind of bad experiences with witchcraft, and you've had 1 lifetime of good experience with witchcraft, and your soul is asking for you to integrate all of that now. So my advice would be is to just send forgiveness as much as you can. Send light and forgiveness. Or, you have to obviously protect yourself if someone's throwing black magic at you. You got to do what you can to protect yourself, of course. I'm sure you know how to protect yourself, but it's all about forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others. And eventually you'll find that you'll no longer be attacked anymore, because your soul will have integrated that karma. You'll have really integrated that virtue of unconditional forgiveness towards one's enemy. If there's people that are trying to hurt you, with magic, it's about complete forgiveness. And it's a hard thing to do because you've had a lot of lifetimes of being, there's another lifetime of seeing where it was like a war situation. You were taken hostage. You're taken hostage in a war situation, and you were beaten up like you had information or something. You've had a lot. This is a big, this couple of years that you're going through. It's a big moment in your soul's history, and just know there's another side to this. There's another side to this, and I don't know if it feels like you're a healer or you're developing into a healer, but you're going to be a really, really good energy healer if you're not already. And there will be a point where, trust me, you're not going to be getting attacked by black magic anymore from anyone. You're going to move through this. Just keep going and just keep remembering the lesson of unconditional forgiveness. Okay?
Oh my gosh, thank you, brother. That's so nice to hear, because I'm in it right now, like in the thick of it.
You're in it. It's not going to last forever. You're in it. Just, use your defensive magic if you need to, but just keep sending forgiveness too. Keep sending forgiveness everywhere, and send forgiveness out in the world. Anything you feel that's unjust happening in the world, send forgiveness to. Just practice sending forgiveness everywhere. Even though it feels like you're
Yes.
being victimized, send it everywhere you can think of, and send it to yourself too, because there's guilt within you, not from earlier in this lifetime as well. There's stuff you acquired from your mother. There's stuff you took on your mother's guilt. You took on your mother's shame about something. It goes back in the family lineage. You're clearing mostly stuff on your mom's side right now. That's where you're working through. Okay. Now it's like, I see that within, I think you're in a difficult point of your life plan astrologically as well. And once you move, you're not out of the woods yet. By the end of 2021, you're going to feel like a totally different person. I know that seems like a long time to wait, a whole another year, but just keep going, keep working through it, keep using your resources, okay? And you're gonna make it through, completely. Trust me, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to survive with my mind still intact.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Just work on your self-care, work on your meditation practices, and if you like using magic, then do whatever rituals that help you to feel a sense of peace. Help you to get in touch with that peace, because I know that might be tough right now. Okay, but you're going to be okay.
Thank you, Matthew John. Thank you, Loren, for
You're
picking
welcome.
me. Thank you.
Thank you, Destine. Thank you. You will survive. We love you. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, that was really interesting to see how you really are intuiting spot on, Matthew. So we've got a few minutes left, and I know that you've got a lot of courses to describe, so people can read along, but we've just witnessed you doing a regression session, and you offer these. When someone does a session with you, what's that like?
That would be more of a reading. That would be more
reading.
of a reading. I was just doing mini reading.
Yes.
3 packages. We have the offer one, which has, we have an upcoming Mastery Empowerment course on October 24th called All About Angels, Archangels, Ascended Masters, Spirit Guides, which is going to be really cool. We're going to really dive deep into how to connect with your spirit guides, why you have certain spirit guides in your life, how understanding of archangels, ascended masters, Hindu entities, the hierarchies of angels, using angel cards, praying to angels, using candles to pray to angels, all sorts of stuff like that. That's going to be a great one. So that's included in all 3 packages. Plus, there's 12 recorded courses that you get in each package. And the package 2, so that package 1 is $133. Package 2, which is $177, that's got a 45-minute reading with me. So what I was just doing on the phone for the past 2 people, that's the type of thing that you get in the soul plan reading with package 2. And package 3, you get the soul plan reading and the 2-hour past life regression. So for those of you who really want to explore your past life, in the reading, if you'd like to know a little bit about your past lives, like I just kind of told those 2 people about, then absolutely I'm going to be able to do that in the reading. But if you want to actually experience it, if you want to actually go into your past lives and see it and feel it and experience it and smell it and taste it, then you want to do the package 3, which is $333, because that's got the past life regression in it. And those are all discounted at about 60 to 70% based on the package. Real quick, I can just go over the courses that you get, if that's okay. Take 2 minutes or so.
Sure, please do. Yes.
Yeah, cool. So in all these packages, as I said, you get the upcoming Mastery Empowerment course on October 24th. If you can't make it live, it's okay. You'll get sent a recording right after. And that's all about angels, archangels, ascended masters, and spirit guides. Okay. You get Change Your Reality by Changing Your Words, which is a video course we just did a few weeks ago, which is all about how the words you say and think affect your body and affect your reality, and how to change your speech in order to change your life. You get the Powerful Visualization Techniques for Ascension Mastery Empowerment course, which is teaching you specific tools through visualization. As I said, I'm very good. One of my favorite things to do is teaching visualization to ground, shield, purify, cord cut, energize your chakras, heal your chakras, forgiveness, cleanse spaces, jump timelines, much more. You get the Human Energy Field 101 Mastery Empowerment course, which is all about the anatomy of the human energy field, the chakras, the meridian systems, the kundalini energy, the structures of the chakras themselves. You get how to move on completely from your ex, for those of you who have just gone through a decoupling, what happens on a soul level when these decouplings occur, why they're so painful, how to move on from it, how to heal completely. You also get the spiritual hygiene, cord cutting, grounding 101 webinar, which is all sorts of different tools you can use to protect yourself. Things like protecting yourself, and we teach a little bit about black magic and curses and etheric parasites and entities and demons and all sorts of weird stuff like that. Shielding techniques, grounding techniques. You get the Navigating the Dark Night of the Soul webinar as well, which is all about navigating through those periods of your life that where everything just kind of seems to not go right, or you're in a lot of pain, or you're just going through a big transition. The Creating the 5D You Mastery Empowerment course as well, which is all about how to actually architect your life. The Awakening the Divine Masculine course, which is all about integrating the divine masculine energies, whether you're a man or a woman. Okay, practical exercises for living a more structured and efficient life, overcoming the shadow masculine aspects, what is more important, being or doing, how to actually use the law of attraction. The Dissolving the Ego webinar, which is all about the 12 pillars of the ego and how to dissolve different levels of the ego, how to experience greater harmony in your relationships, how to experience a lack of conflict in your life, mastering your intuition, okay, which is, of course, all about making better decisions, using visualizations to cleanse and protect, identifying your own physical intuitive cues, different tools you can use to refine your intuition, putting the past in the past, which is all about alchemizing the past in this lifetime, using, just like we talked about, exactly what your soul wants to do, using the experiences of your past to alchemize that into wisdom and virtues that you can use for your future going forward. And also you get the Deeper Level of Forgiveness webinar, which is all about the forgiveness on a soul level. There's a model of the different levels of forgiveness in that, and we talk a lot about soul contracts in that webinar as well. You also get a guided meditation to meet your spirit guides and activate your psychic gifts, and you get a healing transmission called I Love You Regardless. So again, it's only $133 for all those One Life course, 12 recorded courses, okay? $177 package 2 is you get all of that plus a 45-minute soul plan reading with me. I'm connecting with your spirit guides. I'm reading into your life plan, just like I did with those two callers. And we're going to talk about your karma, what your soul has planned for this lifetime, your soul mission. We're going to talk about relationships and what happened in a past life in relationships and what your future holds. And I'll answer any questions at all that you have that you want answered. Okay. And that's package 2. Package 3 has all that plus a 2-hour past life regression. And that's going to be the best way if you really want to discover your past lives is to order that package 3. And we're doing, we're going to do 10, we could do up to 10 package 3s just because I have limited availability. We're going to do up to 10 package 3s. We're going to do up to 15 maximum package 2s. So if you're listening and you want to work with me, you want to dig into this stuff, I'd recommend you get on board as soon as you can.
Get on board. Go ahead and check that special offer button that's right here on this webpage and sign up for that because you get an immediate download. If you get a session or a reading with Matthew John, you'll get a link to schedule that. And your webinar, that is recorded, so people do not need to be present live. We're really excited because people love your webinars. You go really deep, and they are transformational. And we thank you for sharing that. Very, very good. Awesome. Well, we're excited for everyone. And again, we thank you for that. If you are interested in going deep within yourself and understanding yourself even better, this is Connection with Your Soul. And Matthew John assists you on that journey. He's a wonderful guide to get you back into wholeness. Thank you, Matthew John. This has been a wonderful show.
I had fun. Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me again. I really
Beautiful. Well, as we say goodbye, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's a difficult time for a lot of people. A lot of people, with the astrology right now, we've got Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde, and there's a lot going on in the sky. We've got an election coming up for those of you who are here in the United States. And just the best thing to do is to remember to breathe, stay grounded, and spend a lot of time in nature. Spend a lot of time, speaking to those who you care about and those who care about you. And we're building ourselves up towards a 2021 that's going to have a very different vibration than 2020. 2020 was the Tower card, for those of you who know the tarot, for the world. And in 2021, in many ways, we are rebuilding energetically into the new earth.
Yes.
So,
new foundation
and a lot of people,
love.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yep. Yeah. So for anyone who's going through a tough time right now, just hang in there. Be kind to yourself.
Yes.
Be kind to people. Be kind to animals. Okay. And sending you my love. Sending you my love.
Oh, thank you so much. We feel really
You're
good.
welcome.
And we hope everyone feels this great love and this connection. Keep up your hope and keep your vision of New Earth. Yes. Thank you, Matthew John.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, too, for listening, everyone. Let's dance our way to the cosmic heart. Before we get there and have a little fun, I want to, again, just point you in the direction of Matthew's special offer. Check that out, please, and see if that resonates within your heart. He is standing by to assist you. Thank you, everyone. Here we go. Dancing. Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.